So my name is Sarah Helbig, and I met my husband the summer after I graduated from high school. It was a summer romance at the lake, and he was at home because he was in the military, and so he was home for his sister's wedding. So it was just this happenstance that we met, and then he went back to Japan, and I went to college, and we sort of stayed in touch. And then when he was out of the service, we got back together and had lunch, and that was it. And the rest is history. We waited quite a while to have kids because my career was really important to me, and neither of us would change that. It was so important to have that foundation of who we were together as a couple before we threw kids in the mix and we became parents. I was dead set always that I could be an exceptional mother and a prominent career woman and a rock star wife. I wanted it all. But what I did realize over time, over a span of years, was that I lost myself somewhere in there. And I think that happens to a lot of women. So over time, I just put on weight. I wasn't making time for my health or making good decisions. I loved everything that I had in my life, but when I would kind of see a picture of myself or something, I didn't look happy. On the outside, the way that I felt on the inside. A few years ago, we were at the lake and in the summer, and I was playing an awesome game of kickball with my family. And I have a good lead foot, so my nephews always want me on their team. But man, I ran up to kick the ball, and I knew something really bad happened in my foot. And I had planted my weight on my foot running, and I just heard it snap. And I ruptured my plantar fascia. And in the end, it was absolutely because of the weight that I was carrying physically, let alone mentally. And so I was in a walking boot, one of those terrible boots, for at least 4 or 5 months. And it really was a wake-up call for me that it was time to do something, or the trajectory that I was going down was not where I wanted to take my family. So when we first started going to CedarCreek, there was a really strong message around this series called Transformed. And I just really connected with it because it really talked about kind of where you are and where you see yourself, where you want to be, and how you can just internalize that and how you get there. It hit me right in the heart. I was almost 300 pounds. When I started the weight loss program. And so when I started dropping some weight with the health program, someone had talked me into you should really go try a sprint triathlon. I could not run a 5K. I walked that 5K, but I walked it proudly. I did my first sprint triathlon on a 3-speed cruiser because I wanted to see if I would just like the whole experience. I didn't have the fancy equipment and all of that. And people were so encouraging. So I kept training, and sounds crazy, but then I ran my first half marathon with Churchill's in the fall, and have just kept swimming. I swim about 6 miles a week, and it keeps me positive, and just the stress, right, that we all have of the day-to-day grind, work, young kids, all of it. It's a way for me to stay a little focused on myself too. And I think that's really important as a mother, to have this thing that you can come back to that is about you, because I feel like I'm a better mom when I'm stronger and I'm more positive. Over here, it really impacts everything else that I do, and my confidence and how I engage with my kids, and even how well I do my job. And I'm doing my first half Ironman in a couple of weeks, which is pretty intense. It's a 1.2 mile swim, 57 miles on the bike, and then a half marathon run. Your body is this temple, and I always think about the fact that it's kind of like equipment that's on loan to you. We only get it for a certain period of time, and I need to teach my kids too that they have to respect that. This is a tool you have, and if you take care of it, you can do everything that God has intended for you to do in your life. I think in terms of sharing the journey that I've been on, I've really tried to do that very publicly. Number one, for my own accountability. It kind of keeps me on my toes, but it's a blessing for me to share, here's where I was and how much I struggled internally, because weight loss and your health can be such a mental challenge. to how you start to take the steps to get to a healthier lifestyle. So I've really tried to openly share that with people through church, through friendships, through school, very actively in social media. And I've had so many people reach out to me and like thank me personally. And some people start the same weight loss program that I did. And to me, like, dang, that's God's work right there. And I would share all day. I'm not embarrassed about where I came from because I want other people to know that it's possible.